Hello everyone, Super Marcey here, back with another video of the movies that make Marcey, right here on the Super Network YouTube channel, and of course you can find us at supermarcey.com, and you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/thesupernetwork for early access and exclusive content to do with Super Podcast and Super Marcey, so please check those out. And the movie I'm going to talk about today is 1993's Tombstone, starring Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Bill Paxton, and Sam Elliott, and Michael Biehn, and Powers Booth. It's got an incredible freaking cast. Now, going back, I actually saw this movie, I think it was 94. It was on a plane ride because my family used to take trips to Italy when I was younger. So it was something on a plane trip. I was probably too young to really grasp what the film was about, but it had a lasting impression. I didn't really know what to think of it. I think I was like 9 or 10. But it something that stuck with me. So as I got a bit older, it was something I wanted to rewatch and really understand. And I think it was then, kind of rediscovering this movie in my early teens, was that it had a real, like, big, profound effect on me. In the way that it just told a really interesting story. It had these really intriguing characters. It was really entertaining. And being that I hadn't really, what's the right word? I hadn't really gotten to like or really appreciate or want to watch Westerns. And this would be the one that actually sort of really hooked me in, and I became quite a fan of Western films, and this is among one of my all-time favorite Westerns, and it is one I credit with, sort of giving me the love and fondness for the Western, because it can be a bit of an acquired taste, and there's many Westerns, and they were very big, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, however long ago it is. I forget what year we're in. It still feels like the 90s half the time. But, they were quite big, and then they kind of made a bit more of a resurgence. And as we've seen the last few years, we've had some really classic ones. And it's definitely a genre you should really look at. And Tombstone, again, it's such a great movie to really kind of sink yourself into that feel of a Western. And, of course, it is based on a real person, Wyatt Earp, who Kurt Russell plays, and the Earp brothers, along with Doc Holliday, who are in the town of Tombstone, and they sort of vow to, take out the cowboys who are causing trouble in, the town. And this was a film that really kind of changed how you see the cowboy, I think. Whereas they're not that, like, massively kind of stereotyped look to them. They're different, and they wear the sash to kind of represent that, they're a cowboy, and what their motivations are, and what the motivation is of, like, Wyatt Earp and everyone else. And I really found that quite intriguing. And so I've just got my iPad just so I can check back with things. But this is set in Arizona. I can't think of exactly what year. And I think that because it really was different to say something that you would have seen by John Wayne, I find this one just really kind of, I don't know if I'd say, like, deconstructed things a little bit, if that's the right word. Like, it really sort of gave me more of a feel for what things could have been like at that time. Like, I understand, obviously, there's historical inconsistencies, and something like, it's not going to be 100% accurate, and I have read, stuff on Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, but I just really feel like it really brings you in and makes you think a lot more. Whereas the outlaws in this, the cowboys, who are basically your villains, but you kind of feel like you know their motivation, and you understand what the motivation is for Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, and such. And I really liked that. And I liked the drama, the character relations, the strength of, the brothers along with Doc Holliday, as well as their you know, relationships, and the same with the cowboy characters. I just find like the characterization in it's really, really interesting, and it's really well done. And the cast themselves, like the chemistry is so spot on. You could believe like the Earps are brothers. Like it feels very authentic, and you know, it goes to show like they have the chemistry, and you know, their acting is fantastic. Like Kurt Russell is amazing, but then so is Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. I think it is like legit one of his best roles. He just nails every aspect. And again, like the chemistry between those two characters, Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, it's so there, and it just really helps, you know, bring everything together. And again, Powers Booth as Curly Bill and Michael Biehn as Johnny Ringo, I think they actually bring so much to the table as well. And I just think they're both like really, really great performances. And again, you do get a feel for these characters and their motivations, and I quite like that we got that. And I feel like I keep repeating myself, but I feel like I need to stress this point a lot. And I also feel like the action and those kind of shooting scenes, they're just done so well. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of tension, but overall it's such a great film. And in seeing this, it sort of in the way it like made me, as someone who's more open-minded to westerns, but upon, you know, going over to America, kind of looking at a lot of that history with the Old West, and again like Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp and many others, and you know, became like really a big fascination for me, as well as looking at, you know, similar kinds of history within Australia. But again, it's something that really opened my eyes to a genre that if I hadn't seen this movie, I probably would not have gone out and seen films like, you know, The Assassination of Jesse James, which I absolutely love and adore, and, you know, so many other amazing westerns. And I have quite a few in my collection, you know, the classics like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know, stuff like that. So it really opened my eyes to a lot. So I credit Tombstone as well with being a film that kind of, when you see something and you might not quite like it or understand it the first time, it's a film that opened my eyes that upon a rewatch with maybe more knowledge and more maturity, that it can really, you know, hit you in different ways and you can appreciate it more. And this was a film that really, you know, did that for me, because when I revisited, I was like, wow, this film is amazing. And it's happened to me with other films. Like I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and absolutely hated it. And now after so many rewatches, it is like one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite horror movies. And again, it's because of my experience with Tombstone. It allowed me to really be able to say, yeah, you know what, this film deserves a rewatch. I should give it another go. And I think most movies have that. And, you know, our feelings and, you know, whatever mood we're in can affect that as well, as long as, like I said, age and whatnot. So I think Tombstone had that kind of effect on me, and it's been a film that I've loved ever since. I cherish it so much. You probably can't really see the pops, and it's a bit messy on this side, but I have all the Tombstone pops. I don't know if there's more Doc Hollidays I don't have, but I probably will add them to the collection. It is something that has that meaning for me, and while it might have made me in a different way to previous films I've talked about, like No Retreat, No Surrender and Alice in Wonderland, I still think this film is very prominent in the films that make me who I am today. So it's my little crazy explanation and, you know, just gushing over Tombstone. But I think, you know, it is a film that I really appreciate for everything it's done for me. And, you know, again, made me who I am. So thanks you guys for listening. Hopefully future videos I'll be a lot less awkward. This is still very new to me, so please be kind. And again, you can check us out at supermarcey.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/thesupernetwork. And of course, please check out our podcasts on all good podcast streaming services, such as the Super Podcast, the King Zone, Tubi Tuesdays, and Podcasters of Horror. So stay tuned, you'll get some awesome content on our YouTube channel, and I'll be back soon with another The Movies That Make Marcey. Catch you later, guys.